that is not good, man. He needs to just take his time, make sure his units are in the right positions. When he has siege tanks and Vikings, there's no excuse for losing to Colossus.
That is true, absolutely. If you have any siege tanks in your army, one of the most important techniques is just knowing when to siege them and where, because too often, like in that last game, you don't want to be in the spot where you go, oh, wait a minute, I'm in a battle, I should siege up. And then he lost all his tanks. In these other games where he has more Marines and Marauders, though, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how passive he's been.
Yeah, you know, if you have Marines and Marauders, you have to be aggressive and reduce the size of the Protoss army. If you can reduce the gateway units, then the Colossus are not going to be nearly as strong.
Absolutely.
If you reduce the Colossus, the gateway units aren't nearly as strong. The Protoss really needs to focus on his unit composition. So if Loner can go ahead and be more aggressive with those early units, then maybe he can get the edge he needs to take a win.
They're ready. Are you guys ready? All right, then let's start this game. This is the second best of 3. We're in game 2 of the second best of 3. If Loner loses this, he's out. If he wins this and then wins the next game, then he wins.
So if you want Loner to pull the miracle comeback, he's down 0-1, give a cheer for Loner. And if you want NEXGenius, the Korean superstar, to close this series in this game, give a cheer for NEXGenius.
So speaking of NEXGenius, he's over here at the top right, and Loner down here at the bottom center. Now, what's interesting about these positions is this is the same problem. These two, no, I shouldn't say the problem. The burden these two are both faced with is that third expansion problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
They both share this third base, So that means they're going to have to expand these far out regions, which means we could see some very heavy two-basing. In other words, they're just going to be making units off 2 bases, and it's just going to be a slugfest in between the map.
You know, Metalopolis, it's a similar map to Lost Temple in a lot of ways, being a 4-player map, having close positions, far-away positions. And these are basically the same positions that we saw last game on Lost Temple, and I think the game is going to play out somewhat similarly. You know, they're going to both have to sit on 2 base for so long because expanding is just so far away that, you know, using your minerals on something so far away that isn't going to help you right then may result in a loss from any attack.
And one thing to note, if we go over to NEXGenius's natural expansion, we can see how wide, spread open that is. Look at the amount of space that Loner will have to control his units, to micromanage those units. On Lost Temple, he didn't have that advantage, so Loner might be feeling a little bit more comfortable if he does literally the exact same thing as last game.
Probe harassing over here, just like the previous game. Let's see if he can manage to force this SCV to get off the barracks. That buys him a few seconds. It does. Loner immediately puts another SCV on there, however.
You know, that's very interesting what you just said, Day9. The exact same build that he used last time would be great in these positions on this map. But the thing is, he did that, it was kind of a new strategy that he pulled out. He didn't use it in any of his previous 5 games against NEXGenius, which means it wasn't his most confident strategy. When you couple that with the fact that he lost that game, who knows?
And it looks like, oh no, NEXGenius tried to kill off an SCV, but actually died. All of the SCVs surrounded it and picked it off, so not only does he get denied on scouting, he also is feeling a lot more unconfident going into this next game.
Now for Loner, he's continuing to scout around the map. He's got a good idea of what his opponent's doing. Generally, the Protoss player won't make his true tech path until the SCV is taken out. The only real way to take out that SCV is to chrono boost a Stalker out, and you see that's happening just now.
And he did see...
He's attacking the Arcturus Mech statue. He should be attacking that probe.
He wants it dead so badly. This has actually been a consistent leak in his game that he tries to kill the inanimate object on the map more so than his actual enemy.
Jim Raynor is not a terrorist.
Well, you know, there is one good reason. There is one good reason to go ahead and kill that statue. Void Rays can, of course, charge up on it. It's so close to the Terran base. So it's a good thing that he does take that out. But one thing I'd like to point out is that NEXGenius did show a second gas to Loner. And look at this. Loner gets into the base with an SCV. I guess he bribed his way in with those minerals. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. He actually stole these minerals, I believe, earlier from NEXGenius.
You want these back?
You want these back? Come get me.
So it looks like NEXGenius tried to do a little poke with that Stalker. Did get pushed back by Loner. It looks like Loner is actually going to be a little bit aggressive. And oh no, this SCV is in the main, is actually distracting NEXGenius from the front, and they just walk right into the main. There's one Sentry and one Stalker, and uh-oh, and he really needs to begin target firing that Stalker. No, he's target firing the weaker Sentry that takes less damage, and there's a target fire on the Stalker. This is the exact thing that Loner wants. There's going to be a Zealot coming out, but he does have concussive shell. There's that nice spread beginning to micro against that Zealot, and he really needs to pick off that Stalker. And will he get it? Yes, he does indeed take it out. And if he can pick off the Sentry, that Marauder's going to do a lot of damage.
Beautiful right there, using the probes in a force field to block that Marauder. And with the Zealot going after it, Loner's not going to be able to keep that Marauder alive much longer.
This Marauder probably pretty pissed. His suit is so heavy he can't move faster right now. He's continuing with this attack. Is this guy going to live? No, okay. This attack has been botched. I want to take a moment here to point out the reason why he managed to make that work was he actually used the smoke to hide the units over there, and that's what caused that attack with the Marauders to fail.
And oh no, while Loner was in the base trying to do as much micro as he could to keep those units alive, his money skyrocketed, and he's only just now able to spend another Marine. Looks like he is just marching off to his death. That is another big problem that happens with early aggression. You forget to re-rally your buildings, so Loner, even though he's not in a terrible spot, is definitely feeling, at the very least, unconfident.
Now, he's going to have to do some real damage. NEXGenius is taking another base. He is taking that natural expansion. At the same time, he has the robotics facility out, so he has more tech and an expansion about to go up. So with Loner making 2 more barracks and a factory, he's going to have to get a lot of attacking units pretty quickly here and do a push. But look at that, a robotics support bay. It looks like he's going to go for that very fast Colossus that you don't like so much, Day 9.
Yeah, he is getting some Immortals, though, so I'm at least a little bit happy. But, I mean, especially in these positions, with the amount of barracks that NEXGenius is throwing down and a starport, Loner is throwing down a lot of barracks and a starport. And if Loner can begin pushing at just the right times, NEXGenius will be absolutely in a bad position.
Okay, Loner's going to do another timing attack here. Sometimes players bring the SCV here for this, to have the SCV tank the first few shots, or you can make a bunker, just depends. Now, he does have a chance to cancel the Nexus.
And here comes the army of NEXGenius.
Oh, he lets it finish, and there's the stim. Oh no, I don't think that NEXGenius is going to have enough units at all. Look at that amazing control by Loner. All he needs to do is pick off the Nexus. He's target firing it. It is at half health. The probes are now moving down. If he can stim and kill off that Nexus, that would be game ending right there. It is at 25% health. The probes are now darting forward, and NEXGenius may have pulled it off, may have saved it, but now he's microing forward. He target fires the Immortal, and the Immortal still going to life.
The Immortal lives, that's huge, but a lot of probes are dying here. Finally, the Immortal goes down, and if he can just clean up this little army and get that Nexus, Loner will basically have this game in his pocket, but this is just a great pushback by NEXGenius. I cannot believe that he kept that Nexus alive.
I can't believe, I am speechless. That's I know my AD is tasteless, but I'm actually speechless. But maybe I will go back and taste this in his events. I almost wonder if he should have just focus fired it and sacked the army, but then again, I guess that would kind of equalize the game again.
But medevacs are out. Expansion going up for Loner. He's trying to do a little darting in and out antics right here, but NEXGenius is very low on money. Only has 1 half-finished Colossus. He needs to start getting those numbers up higher and higher, and Loner, for the first time ever, is actually loading units into the medevac in the center of the map. He knows his opponent is low on units. Medevacs are very, very effective at picking off lone stalkers, and if he keeps this medevac harass up, NEXGenius will crumble because of that very fast Colossus.
Now, the cool thing about this medevac is it's going to draw the units into the main. If he also attacks the Nexus at the natural at the same time, he may be able to take it down while diverting the attention of NEXGenius. See, here comes the army of NEXGenius, and here are some units, but not quite enough to kill that Nexus. Here we go, the Colossus going up, and he is not going to attack this Nexus, unfortunately.
And the 2 Marines are not doing anything.
What, are these guys run out of bullets? I thought he was going to just go over there and attack the Nexus. Okay.
But the dropship, it is alive and well. The units went back into the natural, and here he comes for another drop. Nothing up here at all, but the Colossus making his way over and stimming. Will he? No, doesn't.
Oh!
Wow.
That is really the big danger of doing any sort of medevac drop harass. You absolutely need to retreat if you are in an awkward position. If you lose that medevac, you have had a huge dent to your play. So you have to be very, very careful, and this is what you don't want to have happen. The big counter push from NEXGenius.
Oh, this is going to be scary.
If he can get a force field up here over at this ramp, he can cut off the Terran, reinforcing his army, and that can result in straight up GG.
And it looks like NEXGenius swinging around. He force fields the bunker. Nothing can actually repair that properly. It's a very, very well-placed force field, but it looks like the Vikings are there chipping away at that Colossus. Remember, the Colossus does not have the range upgrade yet, so it cannot really perform too well in that fight.
Yeah, that was actually a nice defense there by Loner. The Vikings are really what made him decide, okay, I have to get out of here. If I lose this Colossus, I'm going to be in terrible shape. So now it looks like they are beginning to get a little bit more even. It looks like 78 supply against 83, pretty close, and there's just going to be a lot of aggression from here on out.
You can see NEXGenius is kind of debating almost, should I even engage right now? Because they both know getting the third base is going to be the nightmare situation. And of course, Loner does have medevacs, which are pretty accessible for the Terran. It's not like you have to go out of your way to get them. So NEXGenius is in sort of an awkward position here.
Yeah, you know, if he can do a little bit more drop harass, he can just split up the army, keep NEXGenius busy, and then NEXGenius really can't attack him. That's kind of what Loner wants. He wants to stay 2-base versus 2-base for as long as possible.
And it looks like Loner wants to be the king of kiting, is only making Marauders. If you look back in his base, he has 5 barracks just churning them out. There's the good scan. Marauders are very, very versatile. They can deal good damage to almost all units, and because they're so fast, you can always pull back in time. And here's the big push from NEXGenius. I don't know if I like this push so much. Does he have that range upgrade? It is at 75% completion. Looks like that timing window for Loner is rapidly closing.
Note the positioning of the depots. That's very intentional. He wants to have all this stuff obstructing any zealots that would run in there so the Marauders can fire over them. And of course in StarCraft 2 you can actually sink your depots. See? See, I'm right. Just did it, thank you. And that means that if he needs to get his army out quickly, he could just sink them. If he needs to be turtling, or if you're a noob, you don't know what turtling is, it's where you're hiding your base, then you can do that too.
And it looks like big push from Loner right now is trying to get in a good position. The Guardian Shield's going down. Can he deal enough damage? But uh-oh, this is probably the only closed off spot on the map, so that's why NEXGenius is trying to engage at that ramp.
That's right, he needs to keep those Marauders clumped up so that his Colossus does a lot of damage, and it looks like he's even going to throw down some photon cannons to help out. Those are pretty good against him overall, but here come the Vikings. This is going to be huge. He spreads out, and a lot